Hi, hey parents, this is Mr. Cote checking in with you today. I know that a while back I filmed some videos specifically for a third grade, and then also for a fourth grade. Want to make sure that you've got these for our fifth grade. Let's talk a little bit about milestones, and I know that we covered it. Several of you in fifth grade were here on the milestones night, but we're going to cover the milestones information right now. So I want to take you to godot.org backslash / assessment. Now, specifically, when you get to this website, and what we'll do is I'll kind of give you a tutorial real quick on how to get to it. So you can open up your address bar, you type in GADOE, and you can type in milestones assessment system. And we'll include the link for you, but it should be your first one that pops up. If you type those parameters into your Google search or your Bing search, it should be the first one that pulls up for you. All right. Each one of these videos is entitled to be very short, but there's a couple of resources that we're going to talk about specifically today. Let's first start here. This is Georgia Milestones Resources. This is the resources for students and parents. This is the PDF that provides you a good idea of information about your link. What you're going to do is you can go to page 1 is, of course, the title page, page 2, then page 3. This provides you with some vocabulary that goes along with the assessment from an administrative standpoint, and some of the things that are used inside of each one of the assessments. But this is the most important page. This will be page 4. And depending on your grade level, you'll select your grade level. This is for fifth grade. So up under fifth grade, you're going to see how your students will have 3 tests this year. Three sections of ELA, 2 sections of math, and then 2 sections of science. So all in total, you're looking at seven different little assessments, 3 ELA that combine to make 1 assessment score. Math, you'll have 2 assessments combined to make 1 score. And then science, 2 assessments combined to make 1 score. With that being said, specifically looking at the test blueprint for ELA, let's kind of go through this quickly if we can. We have key ideas and details. This is your domain centers. Over here on the left-hand side, you see my cursor. You see key ideas and details, craft, instruction, integration, and knowledge and ideas, vocabulary acquisition and use, and then, of course, writing and language. In the middle, you have course standards and course standards assessed. So these are actually the standards. And if you wanted to look at individual standards, you could. But more specifically, we're going to take a look at something shortly that's going to give you a better idea of what to expect on the milestones for your students. And I know that you've covered it. You're all fifth grade parents. You've been through this years in the past, but it's always good to have a refresher. I also want you to understand how it's kind of made up. Okay. So throughout the ELA portion on the blueprint, it tells you there'll be reading literary text, and then there'll be reading informational text. What's the difference between literary text and informational text? Well, your informational text will include a variety of sources, from newspaper articles to peer-reviewed articles, to a variety of different informational type components to include. So it's going to be about 50% informational text that the students will read on the ELA portion, and about 50% literary text that they're going to see on the milestones itself. Let's go back up real quick, and I want you to notice a few things. So 53% of the test is going to be about their capability of reading and vocabulary. 47%, that's a big percentage, is going to be their writing assessments. So let's move down on the blueprint. Let's go to the depth of knowledge. The depth of knowledge is measured in the scale of 1 to 4, 1 being the easiest, 4 being the hardest. 4 deals with application. Can they research and write? That's a level 4. In ELA specifically, that's going to be their writing portion. Level 3s deal with maybe a short response, and then also being able to use some of the technology enhanced devices. And then level 2, of course, technology enhanced. That's going to be the meat of the test, will be these level 2 questions. And then level 1 questions are your very basic multiple choice questions. Very few of those basic ones there. In the assessment design for the spring main administration, so this is what your students will be doing. So this is what the point values for a specific type of task that they're asking them. Once again, 1 point for selected response and technology enhanced. So about 37 points of the assessment are going to be these 1-pointers. And then they're going to have a 2-point technology enhanced, which is about anywhere from a number of probably about 5 items. 2 points of a constructed response will be 1 item of those. 4-point extended constructed response, their narrative writing, was generally what they'll have to do is read 2 literary texts and create their own ending to the story. Or they'll have to, it may not be create a new ending, it could be create a new beginning of the story. It could be a variety of things, but deal specifically with being creative, and that's that narrative piece. I think this will be the last year that we actually have that. And then 7-point extended writing response. They'll either get an opinion essay or an informational text. So they'll get this. And then when it says field test items, those are standards and also types of questions that may be slightly above their level, or below their level, but they're kind of throwing them at them to see how well they do. There's going to be 6 of those. They won't count for anything on the test. So if they get them wrong, it's no big deal. But if they get them right, that's great. It still doesn't count. Because those are test questions that go along with it, and they're kind of weaved in between the test. It's not before, it's not after. They're kind of weaved in between all the other assessments. So that's kind of a breakdown of the blueprint of how the assessment was made. Let's go back to our assessment center. What we're going to do is going to backspace here. It's going to take us back to our PDF, which is the resource guide. We'll go back to 5th grade. Now, this is what I want you to take a look at. And really, I would say this is where you need to spend the vast majority of your work over the next couple of days with your students at home. The study resource guide for this particular grade. What I want to do is kind of walk you through this resource guide. What I first love is that they break down the different types of questions and what it will look like. So we talked a little bit on the blueprint about depth of knowledge. See, depth of knowledge is DOK level 1 item because it requires students to recall information. So you show your basic. This is going to give them a passage, and then once again, it's going to ask them a question. What I do love is they also give an explanation of the question. And then it's also going to give you a sample article to read, something that they're going to see. These are examples. And then it gives you a couple of different DOKs that go along with one article. So the first DOK is a DOK2, and then it slides down to a DOK3. Now, this is a technology enhanced, where it's going to be a drag and drop type situation, where the students will have to drag the correct, because this deals specifically with determine 2 or main ideas of a text and explain how they supported the details. So you got to be very careful when you read this. Not only are they dragging and dropping main ideas of the text, the main ideas must explain. They're not having to type it, but they have to make sure that the details explain why it's a main idea in that particular text. And that's just kind of a blown up version of it on the following page. And now we get into our DOK 3s and our 4s. With our DOK 3s and 4s, they generally use a scoring rubric to help identify how the score will be made. Okay, so let's take a look at the DOK 4. This is the extended writing response. This is going to be the opinion piece, and it's very open. It tells the student exactly what they need. It's going to give them 2 informational texts, the wind energy trap and the winning with wind. So these are 2 informational texts that deal with different opinions of how to deal with energy and wind. And while this isn't a science portion, the vast majority of the informational text will come from either social studies or science. Now, what it asks them to do It gives them a writing task. And then it gives them a writing checklist. And then, of course, it gives them space to write. This is similar to what it looks like online, but not as close to online. But this is there for your practice, for you to be able to work with your students at home and then be able to take a look at how they're writing, how they're working. I know that you've seen some of the writing samples this year across all grade levels, third, fourth, and fifth. But stepping into this, I wanted you to pay close attention to several things. Whenever they give you a sample question or a sample item, they are always going to give you what the expectation is on the selected response. Then they give you the answer that goes along with it, but that's going to explain why. This is another type of question. They're going to see a part A and a part B. In item 3, item 4 that goes along with it is a drag and drop. They have to not just drag and drop, but the drag and drop has to explain the process. So I want you to take a look at this over the weekend. This deals specifically with ELA. We'll have 2 more videos, one for math and one for science. I hope this information helps, and I hope that this gets out to you so that you can work over the weekend. So if I was going to set my study plan over the next course of weeks, this week and next week, I would do a little bit of study with the ELA portion. Next week, would be a good time in the afternoons to maybe throw in a little bit of math because math doesn't start until the following week. So Monday definitely hit. Tuesday be still hitting a little bit of ELA, making sure they're reading and things like that. And then we're going to get into science and math towards the end of next week so that you can work with them before they take their science and their math assessments the following week. Thank you so much.